Hi Sagittarius, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your August 2022 tarot reading. Thanks to those of you who liked, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. And for those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, to take out the cross spread as always, and also pull the 4 agreements, wisdom of the oracle, and Mudra card for you guys. We're actually going to start the reading off by rolling those astrology dice we have in front of us to get an idea of where your focus should be as far as that goes. So let's see what we get. Okay, so we have 12, and 12th house for you guys is Scorpio. We have the South Node transiting through there. Other than that, not much going on astrologically, in that sign anyway. We have Aries, and we'll have Jupiter retrograde in Aries throughout August, and of course Chiron's been there for quite some time too. And for you guys, that's your 5th house of romance, creativity, children. And we have Mars. Mars will be in Taurus for the first few weeks of August, and then it's going to move into Leo. Actually, I think it might move into Gemini. So it's going to move into Gemini around the end of Leo season, I think. So let's say the 3rd week of August. And so for you guys, it's going to be moving from your 6th house of work, daily routine, and health into your house of partnerships, contracts, relationships. So with all that in mind, we'll get started with the main spread. Okay, in the main situation position, we had a few cards come up. We have the Hermit, which is Virgo energy, King of Swords, which is Aquarius energy, and Judgment, which I usually view as Scorpio energy. And then challenging that, we have the 6 of Cups, so Scorpio energy there as well, and the 2 of Pentacles. So what I see with this could just be saying that an opportunity from the past is coming back around with you. With the King of Swords, it could just be saying that there's going to be a lot of communication around that, or possibly it might even come up around the time of the Aquarius full moon, which will be around the middle of August. And I feel like this is going to be saying that you guys will be reflecting on whether or not you do want to revisit the past or not. So I think the opportunity will certainly come up for you guys, but it's just going to be a matter of if you want to revisit the situation from the past or not. For some of you, it can be related to work too, given that Virgo energy for you guys is your 10th house of career and social status. And then to see this come up in the challenge position with the 6 of Cups, you could feel a bit torn about it, right? Like on the one hand, you might feel like it would be good to go back down that path, but at the same time, you might wonder, okay, would it actually lead to anything productive in the long run? So looks like that's the back and forth that you guys will be going through this month. Like I said, for some of you, could definitely be career related, but maybe it's a personal relationship for some of you too. All right, in the foundation position, we have the Hierophant, Taurus energy, and the Page of Wands. So yeah, again, like we mentioned, Mars will be moving through your 6th house of work, daily routine for a bit, and then it will move into your area of partnerships. So for some of you, it could just be saying that maybe you've been taking part in a more traditional role for a while, but now you might want to go into a bit more of an exploratory phase. So let's say, for example, you've gone into a more traditional career role recently, right? But now you might get an opportunity to do something that you might have had a passion for when you were a kid, right? And maybe for whatever reason you ditched the idea of doing it in the past, but it might come back around for you guys in the present, or at the very least you might feel all of a sudden this urge to revisit that path again. But maybe you're just wondering, okay, will that be the practical route, right? So like I said, especially if you guys are in a traditional career role that you feel has a lot of security and is paying you well, right? So you might view it as a bit of a risk to possibly throw it aside to go back down the path from your past. All right, the past position, we have the 8 of Pentacles. So for some of you, it might actually be the other way around, which is to say for some of you might have actually been working for yourselves independently, given that this is your career house represented with this card. So for some of you might have actually been working for yourselves for a while, and now an opportunity to go back into a more traditional role might actually be available to you. And it could be one of those things, right? With all the ups and downs in the economy, you might feel like, oh, you know what? While I enjoy working for myself, maybe there's a little bit of a lack of security there that I would have if I go back down this path, right? So let's say if you got some degrees or certifications that you were using at one point, but then you started to work for yourselves on a more entrepreneur side of things. But now you're like, okay, I still have those credentials, right? I still have the experience. Maybe there's job openings in that field again, right? Where maybe they might have dried up for a bit, and you could just be thinking to yourself, okay, do I want to go back down that path or not? All right, in the present position, we have the Six of Wands. So to me, this says that you guys are beginning some kind of recognition in some way. So maybe some of your previous work, for example, gets discovered, right? And someone reaches out about that. So yeah, for a lot of you, I feel like this is more of a work-related thing, the more I'm looking at the spread as a whole. But yeah, it could just be as simple as that, right? Maybe you've had something out there, people were exposed to that work, and now all of a sudden they might be reaching out to you to see, hey, would you be willing to create something like that for me, right? Or work on a project like this for me, something along those lines. And well, I mean, I said you could be feeling that now, but given that this is a reading for August, could just be saying that when we officially get into August, you might be getting offers like that. All right. In the near future position, we have the Four of Pentacles. So this is Capricorn energy here, and this usually represents being a bit closed off. I view it usually as someone who's trying to think about where they would be best suited to invest their time, right? Their money, just resources in general. So again, that could be that push-pull that you're feeling, right? Where, okay, so let's say you're thinking about switching careers in some way. So you might be thinking to yourself, all right, well, if I'm going to do this, to pull it off practically, I'm going to have to start to budget for the time being, right? Just in case as I wait for that transition from one position to the next. So that could be one of the things that you're kind of strategizing right now. Like, okay, if I leave this job in August, the next job doesn't start till October, right? So, okay, I'm going to have to save money for that in between time. Something along those lines there. And again, this could also just be, guys, right, being a bit reluctant to revisit something from the past, too, so there could be a little bit of holding back around that. All right. In the position of your influence on the situation, we have the Five of Swords. So this is Aquarius energy here, which for you guys is your third house communication. And I feel like this is just more of a cautionary thing, you know, to say that you might possibly shoot yourselves in the foot this month, right, if you're not careful. Because, like I said, it looks like opportunities will be there for you guys. So I feel like this is just saying to really think them over, you know, because you might make a rash decision and then it might end up backfiring in some way. Especially given that Saturn is in your third house communication going retrograde, and there's going to be that full moon in your house communication, right? So it could just be saying that, you know, just be careful around communications in general this month because it might actually become a bigger problem than you expect in a moment. All right, and speaking of the Aquarius energy in the environment position, we have the Star. So that's the major arcana card for Aquarius. And we have the Six of Swords, so more Aquarius energy here too. So for a lot of you, I feel like this is representing someone else in this dynamic. And I feel like this is saying that for them, you know, I feel like they've gone through a growth cycle, right? So if someone were to come with them with that Five of Swords energy, they would just remove themselves from the situation. So that's what I'm saying. I feel like the Five of Swords is almost never productive anyway. But I feel especially for you guys this month, engaging in some energy like that, you know, like a cutthroat type energy where, oh, win at all cost. I feel like that wouldn't work out in your favor this month. Now, for some of you, this could just be saying that you might actually learn rather quickly. If you guys are the ones who bring forward that Five of Swords energy, could just be saying that that would cause a moment for you guys with the course correction and realizing and growing from that, right? But it might actually result in a missed opportunity too. So that's the one downside. If it was you who actually experiences that growth through that Five of Swords moment. Let me see what else comes to mind with this. And another way I can see this as well could just be saying that if you are a little bit on the fence about which way to go, keep an eye out for the energy to shift when we do have that full moon in Aquarius. And that'll actually give you the clarity that you need in order to move forward in whichever direction you choose. All right, and in the hopes or fears position, we have the Five of Wands. So this could just be a bit of a fear around possibly a really competitive environment, right? So super generic example of how this could be playing out, right? Maybe you had a traditional career role, but it might have been in a very competitive field. After a while, you might have found, figured out a way to go to work for yourselves. Like I said, take on more of the entrepreneur role, but you still have those credentials and those skill sets from before. Maybe if this path that you're on now, you don't have the same amount of clientele that you've normally had, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, should I possibly go back to this thing from the past, right? It could just be saying that it's a very competitive environment, and you might feel like you can't stand out above the rest, but that could be what that Five of Swords is pointing to as well. Now I'm seeing this in the fears position. Could just be saying that your work speaks for itself. So, if you're thinking about using some underhanded tactics to try to get ahead in the situation, I feel like this is saying you definitely wouldn't need to. That whatever work you have out there, like I said, so whether this is going back to something from your past or whatever the case may be, I feel like this is saying that your work speaks for itself. So, just put your work out there. Don't worry about being hyper competitive to get ahead or anything like that. I feel like this is saying that you'll get the recognition that you want. And in the outcome position, we have the Emperor. So Aries energy here, and that did come up in your dice, although I did see that I ended up knocking it, and now Virgo's pointing up. But yeah, we did get Aries with the dice originally. So could just be saying that this is the outcome, right? For you guys to feel like you're in control of the situation, feeling elevated in some way, and being action oriented as well. And in a way, it makes sense too, because you guys are actually ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is in Aries, so it will be retrograde in August, but that could point to why something from your past is coming around as well. Your ruling planet being retrograde in Aries. So yeah, for some of you, this can be around the love opportunity, but for a lot of you, I feel like it's more career-oriented, actually. And bottom of the deck, we have the Ten of Cups. So yeah, I feel like this is saying that this is what's at play for you guys, right? Like there is that opportunity for that ultimate satisfaction. Like I said, it really looks like the only way that things could possibly go off the rails would be more of like a self-sabotage type moment. So just be on the lookout for that. And like I said, especially given the energy that will be in your house communication this month, the full moon there, and that full moon's going to be pretty close to Saturn as well, so it could definitely be a karmic situation as far as that goes. All right, moving on to your Four Agreements card, we have don't take anything personally. Everyone lives in their own dream. All right, let's see what it says. Okay, it says all people live in their own dream and their own mind. They are in a completely different world from the one we live in. So, interesting message there. Maybe that's part of some reluctance on your part too, right? Like you might feel like whoever or whatever is coming back around from the past, you might not necessarily feel like the other people involved is seeing the situation clearly, right? Or you might even have fear that you're not seeing the situation clearly. But that could be part of what's making you a little bit hesitant in the situation. All right, your Wisdom of the Oracle card is Building Blocks. There's the artwork, and the number is 28. Okay, Essential Meanings says strong foundations, a beautiful work in progress. The Oracle's message, you have everything you need to cultivate an extraordinary life. This is a time when your focus needs to be on the foundations you build upon. Your work, your relationships, and your very being are underwritten by your values, ethics, morals, and core beliefs. Are they still true for you? Will they stand the test of time and serve as the solid grounding upon which you construct your life? Now you are making changes that will affect everything in a positive way. Your destiny is truly a remarkable and beautiful design. So yeah, definitely a pretty positive message there. And that made me think of the Hierophant, where it could just be saying you might be looking at those traditional values again and deciding which path you want to go down. The relationship message says when you see excuse me, it says, when you see this card, know that you are attracting new relationships into your life and solidifying the ones you already have by building them on the foundations of honesty, humility, clear communication, and a genuine desire to know one another. You are moving toward laying the groundwork for a relationship with the firm footing that will ensure it can withstand any storm. Long-standing relationships are also repaired and strengthened. You and the other person are stronger, wiser, and more powerful together than apart. So yeah, like I said, for a lot of you, this seems like more of a career thing than a romantic relationship situation. But I will say again, just be on the lookout for that Five of Swords energy in your spot, because we do see the Star and the Six of Swords, which to me says that whoever you're dealing with isn't looking for any conflict or to get the upper hand, if you will, in any way. So if you were to do something a bit underhanded, I feel like they would just leave the situation behind. The prosperity message says you have everything you need to turn iron into gold in the alchemical process of creating the prosperous life you desire. Now is the time to build on the strong foundation you have already laid for your prosperity. Keep in mind that these building blocks are imbued with the sparkling energy of your intentions. Own your dream and remember that you always have more than enough and you always are enough, so abundance is ever present. Your creativity is divinely inspired and the design of your life is taking shape in service to the world. You are meant for success. So yeah, definitely a good message there, especially the part where it says, remember you always have more than enough and you always are enough, because that brought me back to what I was saying as far as if you feel like you might have to do some underhanded tactics to pull ahead in the situation. Like I said, it looks like this is saying that your work speaks for itself, so you wouldn't have to do anything like that, you know. So hopefully that resonated. And lastly, we have a mudra for you guys. This is your mudra here. It's the Kamajayi mudra. And the keyword for it is restraint. Okay, let's see if we get everything in the frame. Alright, yeah. So under benefits, it says restrains the outflow of excess passion and sexual desire, causes sexual energy to turn inward and upward, thereby assisting the practice of meditation, strengthens digestion, assimilation, and elimination. So if that sounds like a mudra you think would be beneficial for you guys, we'll put the name in the description of it. As always, we'll wrap up there, and I'll see you guys next month. All right, bye.